Hey, Dave Breslow back here with you. In today's golf tip, I want to talk about a word that a lot of golfers seem to be really uncomfortable using, and that word is surrender. Now, it's interesting, when I talk to a lot of golfers, and the idea of using that word seems to have a negative connotation to them, because they take it as, oh, you're asking me to give up, Dave? Well, in a way, yeah, but it's actually a very positive thing. Because when you're trying too hard, and I've talked about this in other training videos, you obviously know that when you try too hard, everything tightens up. Your arms tighten up, your hands tighten up, your face tightens up, everything starts to tighten up, and you end up hitting a shot far less than your actual capabilities. Not uncommon. So this art of surrender is very, very important. What does surrender really mean? It really means just giving in to the moment. Think about it this way. Have you ever played a round of golf where you've been playing pretty well, maybe even playing your best round ever, and all of a sudden, something happens, and then you start going downhill? Happens to a lot of people. Golfers call this the train wreck. So a lot of times it happens around the 12th, 13th, 14th hole in a round when you're actually doing really well up until that point. And then what happens? Then you start going downhill. You start going bogey, double bogey, you start making poor decisions. Everything starts to change, right? Pretty common. And then something else unusual happens. At some point when you tried everything but the kitchen sink, you've gone back to all your tips, all your strategies, everything you've ever learned to try to get yourself back on track. And then something happens. You give up. That's what happens. That's what happens. You give up. And then magically, you start playing terrific golf again. And then you leave the course kind of scratching your head going, I don't know what happened. It's like I wasn't even trying and I started to play better. That's what surrender is. The reason you started playing better is because at that moment you surrendered. You tried everything you could. It was frustrating. Nothing was working one of those days. And then at some point you went, I give up. That's it. And you stand up to the ball and all of a sudden you hit this beautiful shot and it's like, hey, what happened? What happened was you surrendered. So what is it you're actually surrendering? You're surrendering your over-trying. You're surrendering your overthinking. You're surrendering your focusing on results. You're surrendering your anxiety. And you're surrendering your physical and mental tension. All of that stuff is being dropped by the wayside. And that's why you start playing so much better. So, today's tip is really about the art of surrender. So when you stand up to the ball, you go through your pre-shot routine. Think about surrendering. Don't wait until the train wreck occurs. You don't have to wait till then to surrender. Surrender over every single shot. And what it really means is you're surrendering all the junk, all the garbage that tends to limit you and get in your way. If you know much about my teachings, I'll say what you're really surrendering is circle one. And if you know what I talk about and what I teach, you'll know exactly what that means. And I'll do a training video upcoming fairly soon talking about circle one and circle two, so everybody gets it. But circle one is all that limiting junk, all those old thoughts, behaviors, attitudes, and perceptions that just limit you and keep you locked in jail. That's what you're surrendering. There's nothing wrong with the word surrender. That's where all your power now starts to surge forward. When you surrender, what literally happens to your body is it quiets down, it opens up, and the true you, the true golfer that you know is already deep down in there, starts to emerge. So surrendering isn't negative. Don't think of it in warlike terms. It's not that you're surrendering to the enemy and all of a sudden you're going to be locked in jail. It's just the opposite. You're surrendering, you're dropping all of your garbage so that the real you, the real golfer you, begins to emerge. And isn't that the golfer you want to see on the golf course? I'm thinking so. I know it's the one I want to see when I'm out there. So, Dave Breslow, think about surrender. Just think surrender, take a breath, drop the shoulders, allow it to just disperse away. That's what surrender is. Give up all the garbage. Dave Breslow, good to talk with you. Leave a note here under the video. Would love to have a cyber chat with you. Hope you're doing great, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Take care.